I actually don't sleep a lot.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't sleep, and I could be up until like midnight, or even if I have the chance to go to sleep, I'm still up at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's been years of habit where my eyes are fully focused on, okay, if I close my eyes for 2 minutes, something might happen. And it's not a healthy habit, but it's just become something that's normal.
That's true.
And so, for example, for years, we were able to monitor that. And, you know, I would know if Caleb would have a seizure or was about to have one because I can see the signs, or he was unwell. So the minute he was unwell, I knew I had to be focused on him.
Okay, welcome everyone to She's More Than Rubies. I'm your host, Ollie, and my co-host,
I'm Robin.
Today, we are so delighted to have a special guest with us and to join us with in our podcast this morning, Maureen Lemalu. Thank you for coming on to share your story about how everything started. And, you know, like Robin mentioned earlier, I've watched your journey and some of your stories on social media. But please introduce yourself and just, tell us about yourself and, and how it all started for you.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on this morning. I'm truly honoured to be in this space. And so my name is Maureen Lemalu. I am a mother of 3 beautiful children. I have been married now going on 12 years. I have been living here in the Macarthur area for a very long time, pretty much my whole childhood. Mum and dad. So I'm Samoan. My parents, I was born in New Zealand, in Port Wellington. We came here to Australia when I was 3 years old, so I have been here since 1988. So I am pretty much an Aussie girl now. So that's just a little bit about me. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Robin, did you want to ask a question, or do you want me to start?
You go ahead, yeah.
All right, so Maureen, I just wanted to know, because I see some of your stories with your son. So I know you have a son that has a disability. So when did you first learn that your child had special needs, and what was the season like for you and your family?
Yeah. So Caleb was born in late 2017, and being the first child, it was super exciting for both of us, Vince and I. And so leading up to his birth, I had no pregnancy complications. There were no signs of him having a disability. The only things that did come up in the ultrasounds were that he would potentially have a cleft lip, and he would also have talipes, so the club feet where the feet go in, turn in. Yeah. And to Vince and I, they were just really small things that could be fixed. The things that we would be able to get through. And as we saw it, he would be a blessing to us either way. But on the day he was born, life, and I'll try not to get emotional while I talk about it.
Okay.
Life quickly changed. So when he was born, he was obviously born with a visible cleft lip, and he was taken straight into NICU, so taken straight into special care nursery. He was only 1.9 kilos. And so obviously from there we knew something wasn't fully right. And so from that day, everything kind of went into a roller coaster, and it's still the same today.
Yeah.
So that's when we found out, and it wasn't until about 4 months old after the genetics testing that we found out that he had a syndrome called Wolff-Hershorn. And with that syndrome, it's 1 in 50,000 that it affects. So it's very rare, and it affects many parts of the body. So from the head, the neuro, he has a lot of prolonged seizures. his last seizure was a total of 80 minutes long.
Oh my goodness.
So that's probably the hardest thing about his condition. Sorry.
Okay.
And just it's something that we have to deal with on a daily basis, and more so for example, he's been in hospital this week with croup and asthma, and for a neurotypical child like I have two younger children who are healthy and walking, and everything's great for them. If they were to get something like that, they're strong and they've got that immune system that can fight it. As for Caleb, straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's like having a medically complex child.
Yeah.
So sorry, you can take me back to the question if I get a bit excited.
It's okay. It's all right.
Don't be silly. Yeah.
It's okay. So you mentioned that he's been in hospital a couple of, how many times, like, have you had it, like, he's been in and out of hospital? So how often?
Caleb? Yeah, so Caleb has, since birth, he has pretty much spent most of his life in hospital. So initially, he was obviously in special care for almost 2 months at the beginning of his life. So from there, it was regular weekly admissions to extending out to monthly admissions, and that would all be from having a seizure, or it could be respiratory issues, asthma, all of that. And so I thank God at this stage, this week was the first time he's been in ER in almost 12 months. And so we thank God for the strength and just for his healing upon Caleb, because obviously we are now at a stage where we're able to monitor or manage his care at home before we have to take him to the hospital. And also with his seizures, they're very managed at the moment. So he hasn't had one for quite some time, as they were happening weekly, then they were happening monthly. And then as he was getting older, they were stretching out to 3 months, 6 months. But we found, although they were stretching out longer, it just meant that his seizures were going even longer. So when they first started, they were like 5 to 15 minutes. It started going to 40 minutes, as 3 months not having them would mean, okay, he's going to have them for 40 minutes. And we found that pattern was going on the longer he didn't have a seizure. When he had one, it was very, very long. And so last year, this time last year, he was actually in Randwick ICU, to help him with breathing, and he was intubated. And so although our journey started when he was born, it is constantly going. Every day. Yeah.
Right.
You're amazing.
You are.
Maureen.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. You look like you've got it all together. I'm looking at it. But Farah, no one knows what goes behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like we were talking in our last episode, we were sharing about our sons in the last episode, about finding the resources and that, because when we had our boys, we didn't have NDIS at that time. So we had to get all that information from friends. They had kids with special needs, especially with Polynesians. Like, it's really hard to find Polynesians that would share that kind of information with you, because they're a bit embarrassed to share that. So now it's like we've got all these resources. So you've got all that help and support now with NDIS and all. So how's that been for you?
Same as you at the beginning. It was kind of like, where do I go? How do I get help?
Yeah. Right.
You're already in like an emotional, physical, mentally challenging time of your life when you're, especially like for myself, my son, he was our first child.
Yes.
So having a first child who is now medically complex, it's not how I envisioned becoming a mum. I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
And, you know, you go into this pregnancy, you're all excited, your plans for the future are, you know, great. And you, in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm going to have this child, and as soon as he's 12 months old, off to childcare, and then I can go back to my life, working and doing that. But once Caleb was born, I quickly realized that wasn't going to happen. Because you primarily become their carer. And so at that time, you don't know where to go for help. You don't know what resources you can get. And you also are trying to manage your own journey and your own, like, grasping what this is like for you. And, you know, the financial challenges that come with it. And obviously straight away I had to give up my job.
Yeah.
Which there was no questions about that. Straight away I was like, okay, I will stop working. I will care for him, and Dad will work and make sure there's food on the table. And they're things that people don't realize until they're in that situation. So not only are you going through trying to navigate what you're going to do because you're going to potentially lose your job or give up your work, how that would affect your home life.
Right.
And it also affected my church life.
Yeah.
Obviously growing up in the church, and I would go to church every single Sunday with my parents. It's something that we did as a family. And to me, I didn't know any other way. There was no, I'm not going to church. If, you know, when you've grown up in that and your parents take you on a weekly basis, that's your life. And so I had grown up and I had my own family. That also became the normal for me. You know, I went to church, I participated in everything church. And so when I had Caleb, that also changed my church life, not because I want to go to church, because I couldn't. I was stuck in the four walls of the hospital looking after a special needs child. So having a special needs child has changed my life completely, from my work career and what I was doing before to my spiritual walk, and not being able to be at church every single Sunday. It took me a while I think for work, adjusting to that. I found that a lot easier than adjusting to not being able to go to church. I missed singing in the band and doing all of those things that I love to do. And because I wasn't able to do that anymore, I struggled to think, okay, does that mean I'm not being a good Christian? Does that mean I'm not spiritually fed? And it took me quite a while to get to a stage where I was like, well, I don't need to be at church. I can do that.
That's right.
Right.
At the hospital. I can, you know, but I think what it was for me is trying to navigate the different parts of my life and incorporate that, or actually potentially changing that to fit Caleb.
Right.
Or more, we had to fit our lives around him.
Yeah.
And trust that it would work out, and, you know, leave it to God. It was really hard, but we've learned to do that as, you know, as the years have gone by.
Right. Yeah, wow. I mean, you talking about how it was, going back to when you first had Caleb, and because he was your first child as well. So, you know, you didn't exactly envision this as, you know, becoming a mum, first time mum, and then to, you know, find out that your son has special needs, you know, has been given this diagnosis of a very rare condition. I can imagine that would have really, you know, thrown your world upside down, definitely. And you said that, you know, it was a huge adjustment for your family, you know, to come kind of like, you know, I guess do life around him. And, just coming to so everything that you're saying here today is, exactly what, we can relate to that because that's exactly how it's been for us as well. And talking about your son with his seizures and things, I spoke about in the special needs. It will come out this week. But my son actually had a seizure a couple of years ago, and that was the first seizure that he had ever had. So he was 16 then. So from the age of 0 to 16, we had never, ever experienced a seizure at all. And I would watch videos of people with kids that would have seizures and families, how they deal with it and stuff. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what they go through, the emotional turmoil that, and hearing you today, talk about it. And I experienced it only once for myself. And oh my goodness, I was just... that really affected me so bad, for months before we got his another diagnosis on top of what he had, which is epilepsy. I was in a state of hypervigilance. I had to get a baby monitor for him and, to make sure that he was not having a seizure when, I'm in the room down the hallway while he's there. Then I'd try and sleep at his door to make sure that, that I didn't miss it in case he'd have a seizure and things like that. So I can imagine that, your life is just, you're just on constant, alert, hoping that your son, won't have another seizure or something like that. So, I can. Yeah. Just makes me emotional hearing your story about your son.
And it's not a pleasant thing to hear that other people are having seizures, but listening to you share that, I as a mother who has a child who has that regularly, it kind of gives me that comfort knowing that someone else can relate to how I'm feeling or can relate to how it affects us as an individual and as a family. So you're saying you had to get a baby monitor and things like that. And I get it because that's exactly the path that we've had to take. And I actually don't sleep a lot.
Yeah,
I don't sleep, and I could be up until midnight, or even if I have the chance to go to sleep, I'm still up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I think it's been years of habit where my eyes are fully focused on, okay, if I close my eyes for 2 minutes, something might happen. And it's not a healthy habit, but it's just become something that's normal.
That's true.
And so, for example, for years, we were able to monitor that. And, I would know if Caleb would have a seizure or was about to have one because I can see the signs, or he was unwell. So the minute he was unwell, I knew I had to be focused on him and nothing else. Leave everything else that can come later. At the end of December 2004, my biggest worry actually came true. I woke up to Caleb having a seizure. And I didn't know how long it had been going on for. Yeah. And so that continued on for a good hour until the paramedics were able to come and settle him before he was able to go to the hospital. So I totally can relate to you in that you would go out of your way to, get a baby monitor, get things that, other parents wouldn't have to worry about. A lot of the times it's not that they don't know, they don't care, or it's more that they don't know.
No, that's right.
The purpose of us three really is to share that awareness about what we go through as parents with special needs children. And although our children have different needs, they're all very similar. And us as parents go through the same journey. We're going through the emotional, we're going through the mental, we're going through the spiritual challenge, the physical. If you look at me in the last 8 years since Caleb was born, I've gone from tiny to I'm yo-yoing because I'm not taking care of myself. And I'm sure you two can relate to what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. Maureen, you've got 2 little ones, your other kids. We mentioned before also about siblings. So how are your other kids towards Caleb? Because I know some kids find it hard to understand their diagnosis. So do you have, I'm sure we also mentioned to educate parents. So how are they doing with that?
Yeah. So with my babies, so Cadence is 6 and Cairo is 4. For them, they absolutely love their brother. And I think because it's normal for them, I guess because they're the younger siblings, they've been born into a family that this is normal. So they don't know any different. So they don't know that Caleb should be born like them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I find with my children, I haven't really had to do any like drilling into them that this is how it is now, as I have friends who have older children who are neurotypical. So the older children are the healthy children. They've had that life of, going everywhere without worrying. And then they've had a sibling who's now born who's younger than them. They find it, I know their mums and their parents are finding it hard to deal with that because it wasn't their normal and it's been changed to become their normal. As for me, who my oldest is the special needs child, my 2 younger children have just been born into that family and they're aware of how this is. Obviously, when they were little, there was a lot of gentle, don't do that, Caleb can't do that. And as they've gotten older, they now understand, okay, Caleb's special. Like Caleb's like us, but he's more special. Like I don't know how to put it in words, but that's how I've taught them. And also it's taught them compassion. So my daughter would see someone, like we've had a member of our church who's in a wheelchair. My daughter would be drawn to them and she'll just go and, even though it's an adult wheelchair, she'll try and push them around. And, in public, so also in public, she'll see someone who's in a wheelchair like Caleb or someone who's not able to walk or someone that doesn't talk. She straight away would know, okay, they're not responding to me. And she won't say it in front of them, but she'll say to me, oh, Mummy, they can't talk like Caleb. So she has an awareness of that. And so she's very compassionate about children like that. And so there was, for example, we went to the Crossroads for one of our family birthdays and there was a child like Caleb. And at the time, Caleb wasn't with us. He was on the other end with Dad. And she walked up to this kid and she started talking to him. And his dad actually got to be uncomfortable. He got uncomfortable and he was kind of like not looking at her and trying to brush her away. And as a parent like that, I understand. And so there was no hard. But for her innocent child, she was like, oh, he's like my brother. I want to talk to him. And so when she went off to play and I found that moment to just walk up to him and just started a conversation. I said, oh, I see your son is in a wheelchair. I said, I have a son who's also in a wheelchair. He's on the other side of the restaurant. And that's he kind of, put down his guard. And I said, yes, that was my daughter. I said, I apologize if she's come to you and made you feel a little bit uncomfortable. I said, she just is drawn to people like her brother. And that's when he said, oh, sorry, I didn't understand. He just thought she was a child coming up to him, wondering what's happening. So really, even in that case, it's just a matter of awareness. And going back to the question about how it's affected my children, I don't think it has affected them. It's taught them to be compassionate and love, people for who they are. And another good example is, when my children get lazy. So they get a bit, we get home from church or wherever we've been and they quickly trying to sleep. They don't want to, they want to be held, carried to their rooms. And I always say, well, Cadence and Cairo, do you guys have legs? And they were like, yes. Well, like, and then we say, well, can you use your legs? And they're like, yes. And we say, well, does Caleb have legs? And they're like, yes. Can he use his legs on his own? No. Oh, okay, mummy, we will walk. So it's just reminding them that you can't take the things that you have for granted. And I think that's something that's very important for us. Even us as adults, we take the smallest things for granted. Right. Like walking to the kitchen we're like, too lazy.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that there's some people who want that. Like, I know my Caleb can't talk, but I know he has that want to get up and do that stuff. So it's so hard, you know. You want something for them that we have. It's something we take for granted.
Yeah, it's true.
Thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's so true. You mentioned about compassion. It does teach our kids, our other kids, to be compassionate.
Yeah.
Because my son Ruben was like that at primary school.
Right.
When he saw, like, because there's a special unit at the primary school, and he would notice them straight away. Like, as in, like, he'll go up to them and he would just, you know, be very compassionate towards him. And he goes, oh, I have a brother. He's got special needs. It's okay.
Oh,
so I totally understand and then what you're saying there. Also, Maureen, I wanted to ask also, because in the beginning when I had my son, I was very protective over him in public. Like, I was very, with people saying mean comments and that. How did you deal with that, or did you ever come across that?
Yes, I did. The feeling of sharing him to the world was daunting. If I go back to what I was saying about, you know, you envision this, how you will have this child, you know, when you think of having a baby, you go through pregnancy, have the baby, you invite your whole family, your friends, you know, tell them, you know, baby's born, they come to the hospital. That didn't happen for us because we weren't allowed any visitors. And so that's another thing that was kind of stripped from, you know, becoming a parent. And also when he was born with a visual disability at the time, obviously he's had the 8 surgeries to, you know, fix the cleft and everything else that's going on with him. But at the time, you usually would post a picture, you know, in this modern world, you post a picture of your child and you're like, here's my baby, born this, born that, healthy, mum and baba healthy. And, you know, that didn't happen for me. And so when I finally got the courage to post that on social media, I had a lot of anxiety doing that. And I have a group of very close church friends that we've, you know, known for the last 25 years who I shared with them and I said, look, I'm not sharing my son because I don't want to. I'm not sharing him because I feel like he will be judged or he will get nasty comments. And although he doesn't understand, like he wouldn't see that, for me as a parent, I was trying to protect him. And so it took me a long time to even share him with the world. I think I only shared his pictures at like 9 months old. It's a very long time from when I originally thought, okay, I'm going to have this child, posting him the next day. You know, that's the mentality you have. You know, because you want to show them off. And then I had to stop and think about how would it affect him? Would it affect me as a parent who doesn't even know what she's doing? How would I answer the questions I don't know the answers to? And so it was easier for me just to not post it. And then I could deal with all of the roller coaster things that are happening in the background and not worry about that. And so, you know, my sister gifted us a photo shoot of Caleb to do pre-surgery. So he had 6 months old for the first fix of his cleft. And mind you, when you look at him when he was first born, you could see it was very pointy and it wasn't normal. So, you know, getting those looks and things of what's going on with that child was very hard. And so, going back to that situation Ollie, where you're talking about it, I felt a lot of anxiety sharing him because of those reasons that I just listed, and also, not understanding yourself where you're at with it.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to share something like that to the world when, the world can be a very mean place.
Right.
But once I did share him, I noticed that the support overruled anything mean. And that's where I started to find, there is support out there. You might not always get. And actually going back to that as well, I've never received a mean message or a nasty comment on any of his pictures, or it's just been a lot of support. But I did encounter one episode in the last 8 years is where Caleb had an appointment, and then, as a mum, you just need to sit down and have coffee quickly and feed him.
Right.
And at the time he was nasal gastric tube fed, so he had the tube going through the nose. So I had to sit down and feed him and, have a coffee while I was there. And this was just in a local cafe at Gloria Jean's. And so I was sitting there feeding him, and there was a lady sitting across from us. And she kept looking, and me, I'm like, okay, they're looking because it's not normal. It's fine.
Yeah.
Look at him, he's got a tube coming out of the nose. He's in a wheelchair type thing. It's, you're not going to look. It's fine. But as as I was drinking my coffee, the stares kept getting worse and worse. And it was not a, genuine, like, looking. It was the staring, like, and it became like a horrid stare where they were like, ugh. It was a disgusted stare. And really, I didn't say anything at the time. She ended up saying to me, she goes, ugh, that's disgusting. And that's how she responded to my child. And I said to her, oh, that's not very nice. And she said, well, you shouldn't be sitting in a public area doing that. And that was, it was really hurtful. And I chose, instead of getting angry and, meeting her with nasty words or meeting her with the mind your own business type thing, at that moment I decided to stay silent. And I just said, that's not nice. And I would appreciate if you wouldn't make those remarks. And then there was a nice, there was another couple behind me who heard and said to her, had a few words with her and said, you should leave. If you don't respect that, she's allowed to be here.
Yeah.
It's a area. She's allowed to be here with her son. And they told her that she should leave. And so we got the cafe owner to come around and tell her to move. She started having a big, she was a tantrum, and I just sat there. Well, she looks silly because I'm just sitting here not doing anything. And it was, and the old me would have got very angry and said, we as Islanders get angry.
Yeah,
it's just normal.
Right.
But I think the peace of God's peace was just upon me at the time, and it was just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You're already going through enough.
Yeah.
And so I walked away with that as a lesson, and I never let that situation stop me from going in public again. If it made me go, Caleb deserves to be in public space just as much as we do. And so, that's my only one off episode that I've had that wasn't pleasant, but it was a learning curve for me as a parent with special needs child.
Right.
You're amazing. You're very inspiring, Maureen. Sorry, what did you have anything?
No.
I just wanted to quickly ask, because, with everything you shared, Maureen, and watching your stuff online, it's been inspiring. I wanted to ask, what inspired you to start this charity? I Am Every Woman. You say, like, you don't sleep. And you started this, and far out, like, share us all about it. So obviously when Caleb was born in 2017, for the next few years there was a lot of
challenges for myself. You know, like I mentioned, there was a lot of emotional, spiritual, mental, physical. You know, the battle list is long for us, and trying to deal with that. Obviously, I have a very supportive family. I have my mum here. Sadly, I lost my dad almost 18 years ago. And I have my sisters who I'm very close with. And, you know, I have my church family around, but, you know, it's a different type of support. Although my family are always ready to come in and take over, it's a little bit different with Caleb, where I can't just leave him with anybody. My sisters have been trained to give him his epileptic medicine and things like that. But, you know, Vince and I have always tried to care for him ourselves. So it's only when the 2 younger children have come along, that's when we've gone, okay, can you look after this child while Caleb's in hospital? There's it's affected our children's lives as well, where they've been taken to our parents or taken to somewhere while we go and look after Caleb at the hospital, and then, you know, all of that. And so in those initial years, there was a lot of challenges for myself. And although I had a very supportive family, I felt like talking to them about the issues I was having was only I felt like I was being a burden to them. And although I didn't see it that way, I still felt that way. And as long as I felt that way, it wasn't going to change the way I was feeling. And so because I was now sharing, you know, little bits and pieces about Caleb and my life on my socials, I reached out to the community and said, hey, it's International Women's Day. In 2 weeks, I did this in 2 weeks. And I said, I just need a space where I can talk to other women, talk to them and share with them what I'm going through. And hopefully they can share with me what they're going through. You didn't have a child with a disability. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what challenges we have, you know, I've known some people who are going through DV. I know people who have infertility issues. I know people who are struggling with, you know, finances, job loss. You know, there's a list of things that we have challenges for. As women, we deal with it differently. And so I felt it doesn't matter that they don't have a child with a disability. I'm sure they can help and relate with me. And so I did a call out and I said, look, I can't afford to pay for all of you. I wish I lost my job. You know, I don't have a job. I'm literally a stay-at-home carer. And I said, come, let's have some dinner, you know, just a casual dinner. You know, the Hermitage just gave us a $50 deal, includes like 3-course meal, drinks. Wow. Alcoholic drinks, of course. Come along and just, you know, share a space. And that night we had 80 women came.
Oh my
we
goodness.
had and so that was officially our first annual dinner.
Wow.
So what started off as just a women's group it was really a safe space for me.
That's awesome.
I created it because it was something I really, really needed. And although there were other parts of my life that I was that I had challenges with, I felt that this was the most important at that time. I needed to get my mental health and my emotions kind of fixed before I could do anything else. And I was struggling. I was very lonely the first few years because I shut down everybody. Like I shut out everyone. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like, to put it in a blunt way, is not because I didn't want them there. I was dealing with too much. When I talked to a person, the questions came. You know, I talked to somebody about surgery, Caleb, because he's had 8 surgeries now. Initially, they were like, oh, does he need it? What are the effects of it? You know, what's it going to do for him in the long run? And I'm like, stop asking me that. I don't even know myself. Although they were coming from a good place, it was actually draining me even more. And so feeling like I could talk to a stranger and they would walk away and that was it.
Right.
You know, and they could talk to me in a different way where they don't know me on a personal level.
Right.
They don't know all the background history. So it would be easy for them just to kind of give me their their thoughts on how they feel this would work. And, I've met some amazing mums as well who have special needs children who also were in my shoes that feel like they can't talk to anybody. And so when these 80 women came, it's where it sparked that, oh my gosh, there's a purpose. I always wanted it. I thought to God, my life was great. I'm going to church every Sunday. I was great. Like, I had been at my job for almost 16 years and I was at a comfortable stage. And at that time I was like, why, God? Like, I've been so faithful all these years. Like, why? And so I never questioned him giving me Caleb. No, there was never a regret on our end having him. We've always seen him as a blessing. We didn't know how to navigate how life would be. And so one day I broke down and my sister said to me, Moza, God will never have given him to you if he knew you couldn't handle it. Sorry.
It's okay.
So I've taken that message with me through the whole journey. And when it gets hard, I think back to what my sister said. And I'm like, you've got this, you've got this, you've got that support community around. And so I dealt with a lot of the, we as Samoans don't usually like to say, or us Islanders, there's no such thing as depression. There's no such thing as, it's literally just keep going. But, when you're in the rut of it and you actually are going through it, you realize that you do go through certain stages of life. And so I was still in denial of, I was, going through that. But I know I shut down everybody. I didn't want to talk to everybody. And, to this day, I can count my circle of close friends on one hand. And what I'm saying is true. You have other people you can talk to. That's fine. You build friendships with people, but there's only a handful of people you can absolutely trust.
Your core group,
Core group. And so I struggled with a lot of that, and so going back to where it started, that's where it ignited that fire in me and that passion to help other women like myself. And so now we just finished celebrating our 6th annual dinner.
Awesome. I saw that. Yeah.
It's a long time. We've gone through, the ups and downs and trying to navigate, while having Caleb at home and the other children and having ministry life, we're still involved in that. My husband and I are still leading the worship team. And, sometimes my husband has to do it on his own because I can't be there. And so having this, it's been 6 years of having this women's group, and, I've finally been able to, I always say to the women, they come to me, they're like, you're so inspiring. You've done so much for the community. You do so much. You're an amazing mum. And I'm grateful for those comments, but at the same time, I always say to them, the group or the community that I've got now with the I'm Every Woman sisterhood, they don't realize that they are the ones that have helped me heal.
Beautiful.
So this group wasn't for me to, it's not for becoming famous. It's not for building a name or building a brand.
Awesome.
We've had to build that community, but really, it's really about having that space to be able to heal each other.
Right. Beautiful.
So these women have come through and, been that rock and shared their stories with me, and I've been able to share my stories with them. And so together we've been able to be each other's like helpers. And I thank God for opening my mind to this, because it's not what I had envisioned in my career or in my life. It's completely done a turn, completely the opposite way of what I had planned for my life. And that comes, God's plans are greater than ours. And so I could have also chosen to stay in that depression or stay in that mental, I don't want to talk to anybody and stay there and not do anything about this. But it came to throughout these years, I've realized that creating this space, I have found the courage to share Caleb, share his story, because as Pacific Islanders as well, it's not very common that you would use a space like this to share awareness about not only the challenges we have as parents, but it's also the challenges that our children have. Our children don't have, they're actually not able to speak. So being the voice for them, being advocates, and really trying to share to other parents who don't have special needs children that, this is what we have to go through. It's so important to just be kind, to be compassionate, and just be nice. Also, being able to go in spaces where we can share. Caleb goes to a special needs school. He's fed, he eats via the tube, he has a port. So he's quite medically complex, and having a support worker, a medical support officer at school, which is the only reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing right now, is that at school, that's the time that we spend to advocate and do what we're doing here. And so, having this I'm a Real Woman organization has been a blessing to myself. I see it as not me pouring out to the community, but they have been a safe space for me. So I've always been big on giving more than you receive. And so when going down the track sorry, if I'm talking too long, you just say
that's
cut.
Okay.
In 2023, I decided, we've got this sisterhood community up and running. It's regular. We've got lots of people coming. The word is out now. It's so hard to try and start something from scratch. And then I said to my team, I said, look, and I used to do this on my own until now I've got an actual team behind me, helping. And also they all still have full-time jobs. So, the workload still ends up on me, but I'm grateful for the work that they do. And so I sat down with them in 2023 and I said, oh my gosh, I've got this sisterhood community, but something else is not. I feel like there's more, and I'm praying about it, and I just don't know yet what it is. I know there's something, I don't know what it is yet. And so I said to them, I want to do something more for the hospital. So Caleb's journey has been through the hospital. He's primarily here at Campbelltown. He's at Westmead for all of his surgeries. He's had a surgery at Randwick, and then with his multiple ICU visits, he's at Randwick. And then a few of them he sees the geneticists and everyone at Liverpool. So he's got his arms in every single hospital around here. So I really want to do something for pediatric care and the parents who are actually in hospital who are experiencing what Vince and I experienced. And so initially when we went into the hospital, we had everything organized. So we had all the nappies, everything you can imagine. You take your big bag and you're ready to go. And quickly we realized everything in that bag and everything in the nursery at home, we couldn't use because Caleb was fed. He had a special bottle, so he couldn't use a normal bottle. He couldn't use a dummy. He was preemie, so 1.9 kilos. I bought him the big sized onesies. My baby's got Islander size. No, he needed preemie clothes, and so I didn't have any of that. I wasn't prepared for having a child who was small and in special care. My husband was driving around looking for premature nappies. And so at that minute, I was like, oh my gosh, that is it. We need to do something for the special care parents. And so we came up with the Care Bag Initiative, which we've now been running since 2024. To date. So right now at the hospital, they've had 400 bags.
Wow.
We've been And we've got another 115 in the office ready to be delivered. So in total, we've been able to do 615 care bags to the parents. So in those bags, it's not just we've thrown wipes and stuff in it. No, it's taken 18 months between the hospital and I sitting down and saying, okay, from a parent's perspective, this is what I struggled with and this is what I needed. I didn't have my husband driving around when I needed him there for support. And also, who knows where to get premature nappies? I didn't know.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't know.
I had no idea.
and people didn't know about it. People don't talk about it. And even now, only because of my experience with it, I know exactly. You can only get nappies from Chemist Warehouse, and you can only get bulk ones from Baby Bunting, and they're not cheap. So in the bags, we also have something like a scented heart, which, you know, at the time I had Caleb, I wish I had them. So it's just a piece of material that's sewn, flannelette type material, into a heart, and mum or dad can put it in their bra or their shirt, and the scent, so your actual scent goes onto that, and you can put it. So the baby, even though I wasn't able to hold him for a long time. So having that to put in there, baby can smell you and feel that closeness.
Wow, that's mad.
I was with couldn't afford to not go to work, so they had to leave their babies at special, which would have been hard. And so they're little things that we have in the bags that really help with that. And so so this year we're still doing that, and we've got a lot of local businesses and grants and things like that to help with the initiative. And so that's where I'm Every Woman comes from. It comes from a place of loneliness and a place of wanting to be able to share with people what I have been going through. And if I can honestly say, if I didn't have that today, God's strength, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. And so I'm truly grateful for everything and for everyone who has gone through our path. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's so inspiring.
I know.
Really inspiring. Sorry, just a question. Now with your I Am Every Woman, would you call it like an organisation?
Yeah, it's a registered.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a registered DGI, registered charity.
Amazing.
And we've done it that way so the businesses can actually get something in return. So, you know, like I said, I like, especially it's really hard for me to ask people for things because, you know, for us Samoans and Islanders, it's like you don't ask people for, you don't even ask for help.
Right.
Like, that's true. The thing we come across, you know, we've got it all together, but, you know, sometimes we need help.
Right. Yeah. And so how often would you hold an event throughout the year?
Yeah, so we have our annual gala, which is our fundraiser that's held every March. Right. So that is the big fundraiser. And then in September every year we have an annual women's high tea. So that's not a fundraiser, that one. That is just literally for the women to come along, have fun, you know, have some coffee and just talk about our experiences. And it's really amazing, the women that you get to meet. And so this year, my husband's finally brought back the Brotherhood initiative, so it's the same as our sisterhood. It was launched in June 2023, but unfortunately, the following month, his mum passed away. And she passed away, so that put a hold on it, and I didn't want to push him or force him to do something he wasn't ready for. And so this year, I left it to him, and I said to him, you know, you should probably bring that back. And, you know, within the next few months, he was like, yep, I'm ready. And so, you know, as women, we deal with things a lot different. And obviously my husband has traveled the exact same journey as me. And he, as a man, deals with it different. You know, they hide their emotions and it's very important for men as well. And so that has now launched, and we had our first official session last year. So you'll see a lot more of him as well, and it's great. I'm happy that he's doing that because, you know, the men need that help and that.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I just want to.
No. Finish what you were saying. Sorry.
I just want to touch base on, go back to, being inspiring and stuff. I'm very grateful to be able to do that. But I also just want to quickly touch on that I might look like I have it together, but it can be a struggle most days. So I just wanted to put that out there for the mums or the parents who watch this later on. Yes, I look like I have it together, but I can tell you now I have my struggles. Some days I don't even know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like with the charity, I sometimes question, it's so much energy and so much work, and do I want to do it? And you get those thoughts, and when Caleb ends up in hospital, like this week, he's been in hospital, so he's home for the whole week, and obviously as soon as he was in hospital, I had to change everything for the week. Had to go through the calendar, cancel therapies. We actually had a packing day for the charity tomorrow, which today would be the day that I would go into the office and prep for tomorrow, and we have a meeting on Friday. So there's a lot of things we have to change, and so in those moments, I always get a bit overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed, and then sometimes as humans, I question, why did I do all this? Like my focus should be on him, that's when all the doubts and all that. And then I'm like, no, this is what we were purposed for. This is the purpose. Right. And so I just wanted to put out there that I don't always have it together. And I also need a lot of support as well. And so, I hope that comes through, and so you understand that, I am also just a human trying to navigate this special needs and life journey.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful. So for a woman that was hearing about your organization and what it's about, how do we get involved?
Sure. So we have a volunteering program. So, if you want to pack bags, we're not always asking for financial donations or financial help. And so the first thing we ask before money is volunteering your time. So if you have time to come and pack a bag, or, help prep for the backpacking, or, sewing hearts for our bags, knitting blankets, all of those things, huge difference for us. And then, volunteer, or even like we have sausage sizzles or for our gala. Sometimes the ladies come and volunteer on the night, so they'll help sell our raffles. All of those things, and it really helps. Helps them. Also gain skills. So it's been a great initiative where we're helping them as volunteers, and they're helping us. So, like I said, I always go back to the giving and receiving thing. I don't like asking people for help if I'm not going to help in return. Right. And then the other way would be obviously financial donations, which you can do through the website, or you can donate products. So Premier napkins, baby bottles, anything. So if you are interested, you can always go on the website, and it has everything on there on how you can help. And we're grateful for anything.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, you mentioned because you there was another question I was going to ask you about your challenges and struggles, and you really mentioned that. So other than organizing all these events that you've been doing, what do you do to look after yourself? Like step away from
very good question. That is
which is a top of the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Self-care.
Yeah, self-care is very important, and I've only learned that in the last couple of years. I stopped my self-care for a very long time. So what I like to do, it's just simple things like going down to the hairdresser and just washing my hair. Yeah. Just getting a head scrub and blow dry. That's simple self-care for me, or, fixing my ingrown toenails, things that some people can do on a regular would take every 3 months
to do. That's so true.
And so, like waxing your eyebrows, and sometimes it's literally just sitting down on the couch with a cup of tea, and just doing nothing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And sometimes, and that's a struggle for me, because as soon as I sit down for 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, I got to go do something.
This. Yeah.
But I really I've had to teach myself to do that, or I have to remove myself from the house so that I'll go for a walk. That's before the kids wake up, I'll go for a walk.
Yeah.
Sometimes just talking to my husband. That's all it is. Talking to him about, my feelings, and he's a very good listener, and so that helps. Whether he's listening or not, sometimes it doesn't matter. And sometimes just having like right now, to be honest, this is self-care.
Yes, right.
To you both.
Yes.
And so I'm very grateful for that opportunity, because the more I talk about it, the less I cry and the less I get emotional about it.
Right.
I still feel those raw emotions, but talking to other women who I can
relate,
who can understand, is it's a massive self-care for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so true. Like, you're talking about talking to other women. Like, early in the years, I never could talk about my son. It was hard and now, like, even like Robin, I was looking at our session that we talked about it. We're so confident and we can talk about it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, I could talk about it, like, and it's therapeutic.
It is, very therapeutic. So
it's a healing, for me.
Definitely.
I think I've learned, because I didn't want to talk about it initially, and that's okay.
Yeah,
and that's totally okay. You eventually find your feet and how to navigate it. And but I realized I wish I realized it earlier.
Yeah,
I wish it didn't take me. Well, he was born 17, 18, 19, 20. It took me 4 years. 4 years to actually openly talk about my feelings, and even at that 4 years, I was crying. At the first gala, I was crying throughout the whole speech. Every year, I would cry throughout my conversations, and I would never be able to talk to you guys this way. Obviously, when it comes to the seizures and things like that, it's still very raw, because it's something that we have to deal with. He's been having them since 10 months old. And the thing that, they don't talk about is that he's high risk of SUDEP. So, the sudden death, unexpected deaths in epilepsy. That's a battle that we still struggle with every day. And we're thankful that we've been able to have him this long. In medical terms, he probably wouldn't be here after 5 years. And so we're thankful that so Caleb's actual chromosome condition, some of them don't last past 12 years. And so that's something that we mentally, it's a mental challenge for us to not think about that. You don't have to try not to think about that, and just go daily, and just go.
Take it a day at a time.
Take it day by day. So, that's probably now that, like, I feel like we're kind of in a comfortable stage of his, we know what to do with these therapies. We have action plans for everything, which is why he's not in the hospital too much. We still have to go there every month for port flushes and peg changes and everything else. But like, we're in a comfortable stage now where we know what to do. But the only thing that's weighing in the back of our minds is, do we wake up and he's not here because he's had a seizure that we don't know of? And that's where it comes from, where I'm not sleeping, because it's the fear of the unknown, and the fear of, obviously, as women who've been raised in the church and our faith, that's really what grounds me. If anything, my faith being stronger. Having Caleb, I feel like we turn to him when we need stuff, and that's how we normally do it. And I now am just like, no, this is something that he has to do, and we can plan and do things, but we can't, we can just plan, and only God can be upon those plans. And so, our prayer is that we have him for as long as we can. And, you know, I don't know if this, I'll ask you both this question as well, and it's a fear of mine as well, is that when I'm gone, who's after him?
We always ask that question.
Definitely.
And it's a question that we, you know, other parents wouldn't have to worry about.
Right.
Because their children are able to grow up and live independently and doing all of that. And so I understand when, like, I've seen some reels where they're like, you know, you just want to live 10 seconds longer than your disabled child. And I totally can feel that. And you know, as parents, do you also, you know, feel that?
I think that's the top. Yeah, definitely.
You know,
I mean, that's my number one fear. I mean, as a parent of a non-disabled kid, you know, you said that you have more confidence that, you know, they're independent, they can look after themselves, you know that they'll be okay once you're gone. Yeah, but for our kids, you know, that have, you know, medically complexed or, you know, special needs, absolutely. You know, that's a fear that I've had from day one is, you know, who's going to look after my son when I'm away? And to be honest, I have prayed to God that, you know, my son goes first before me, you know, because that just kills me. To know that, you know, is someone else going to love him as much as, you know, can someone love him as much as we do?
I'm glad that you've said that in your perspective, because as hard it is as it is, you don't want your children to go before you.
No.
But your thoughts, you know, in our thoughts, we're like, well, I would prefer them to go before me, before anything, because we have to think about the aftermath. That's you know, we have to think about what happens after.
Exactly.
And I guess this is the difference with special needs parents is we are also preparing beyond.
For the future, beyond, That's right.
And that's the thing that I've learned, you know, as well, you know, parents of special needs children, you know, they're not aware of resources like, you know, making sure you have your will and having, you know, your disability funding and things to take care of them should you go first. And I think those are really important to share with parents as well. And that's what I do with the charities. I share with these parents that, you know, there are resources, you know, although you don't want to think about it, you don't want to talk about it. And for me, didn't speak of it until the last year and a half. You know, we have done all of that stuff because you just don't know, you know. You have to, you know, pray for the best and prepare for the worst, unfortunately. So it's really nice to be able to share that with you and not feel judged that, you know, our thoughts, because our thoughts are different to the way a parent with a non-special needs child is. And I wanted to just say, you know, although Caleb is a medically complex child, his special needs are different. I've met a lot of amazing mums who have autistic children. I really didn't understand the concept or, you know, what it is like for a child with autism or mums with autistic children until I've gone to Caleb's school, and most of them have autistic children, and I'm finally, my eyes are open. Like, I've always had my eyes open to special needs children, but my eyes have been open to another world of what parents deal with, you know, with the behavior and stuff. Obviously, Caleb doesn't have the behavior because he's more the medical side. But I'm really grateful to be able to open my eyes to that as well, because I've learned even more. So, you know, the parents who have autistic children at the school, I've become friends.
That's good.
And we share. So now they understand, because they don't know the medical side. And I don't know their side. And so we've been able to share, and we finally also, without knowing, we've raised awareness.
True.
Each other. So now I know when I'm going down and there's a child that's, you know, playing up and things like that. You know, I understand now. This is why. You know, it's not just, you know, you hear a lot of, you know, they just need a good smack and they'll be fine.
I know, right?
I've heard that so many times, and you know, growing up and hearing that and then seeing it and understanding what it's like for a parent with autistic children, I'm so grateful to be able to have that awareness myself now.
Right. Yeah.
Sense. And it's really all about sharing and growing together.
Yeah.
The more of us that can openly speak about it and share it, it would really help a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
We are parents with children with disabilities or not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You mentioned that, you got to meet some of the parents with the kids they're autistic. So I've experienced that with my job because I'm a support worker, and I get to deal with all different clients, all different diagnoses, and you get to also advocate for some of them that they don't have parents. Some of them just live alone with like those cell houses, and so you actually advocate for some of them, and I totally understand that because the awareness also, and that's why I had this passion to talk about special needs because it's something that we want to share with people that don't know what special needs is, especially like from Polynesians. They don't like to talk about, you probably have experienced something similar.
Yes.
Us growing up, it was a shush topic.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a topic to even.
Right.
If we mentioned in our episode that if you knew someone that had a special needs child, either, there's something wrong with the parents or.
Yeah.
So,
Parents have sinned.
Yeah, have sinned and it's
God's
occurred.
punished you.
I did get a question like that in the initial stages, and it absolutely, it actually really hurt me.
Yeah.
The question was, this lady had seen my son for the first time and said, "Oh, what sin did you do?" And straight away, whether that was a joke or not, it was actually heartbreaking because I was like, I know I'm a good person, and comments like that not only, triggers a lot of emotions and questions. You're already going through a mental challenge, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
Right.
It's the effects of those questions and those comments that people don't know have a lasting effect on somebody. And, to this day, I haven't let it bother me since then.
Yeah.
But because I know, you know in yourself, you have things. So for somebody to say that, it just, it's not called for. It's not necessary. And if you don't have anything nice to say, then I think it's best you. And I think also that comes across because they have limited awareness about the impacts of their comments and just in general, like a special needs.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we mentioned as well there's a few cultures, not just Polynesian culture, but African culture as well, that that is the mindset or the perspective that, if you have a child that has special needs or that automatically, the parents have done something wrong.
Yeah.
That's why their kid is like that. That's why they've been punished. But, the Bible talks about that, it has nothing to do with sin.
That's right.
At all. God made them the way that he made them, and it's to bring him glory.
Yeah.
And so you were talking about how, you've started your organization of I Am Every Woman. Your son was the means of that.
That's right.
He was the purpose behind you finding that community of women, something that you needed for yourself, but yet other people needed that as well. And he used you as the vehicle and your son actually as the flame to ignite that passion,
which is
and,
beautiful.
and that purpose for you to start this organization, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is, Maureen.
Yeah.
And, last year, I think it was last year, you won an award for that. Was it from that?
We're going to start blowing your trumpet now. I know you don't want it.
I'm like, oh.
Was that to do with every woman, that was from there, yeah. So
last year, it's actually this year.
This year, yeah.
Last year I won the charity won the award for Pacifica Business. We were runner-up for the Pacifica Business of the Year.
Yeah.
this year, I was awarded the Citizen of the Year for Campbelltown.
Amazing.
So,
Wow.
you know, like I always say, I don't ever do the work I do for recognition.
Of course.
But it was just, you know, it's been a great, like I say, it's a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for the award because it's huge. It's such a, and when I received it, I was like, wait, did they say my name? And it's great though, because, you know, I see it as like, I get embarrassed of like, I don't want to be that person that, you know, wants to show it off and do that. But, you know, someone said to me, no, it's great. Like what it does is it opens up more doors for what you're doing, for the charity, raising awareness around children with special needs. And, you know, that's what it's all about. It's creating, you know, having, you know, it's so hard to get your foot in the door for anything. I understand it's taken a long time for me to get to this stage. I'm just going to, before it cuts off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize that was unplugged. So, you know, receiving this award has been a great honor, and I'm so blessed to have received it. You know, being in spaces that I've never thought I would be in. Getting invited to present awards at the Young Champions Awards and sitting on a table with, you know,
It's awesome.
the Mayor of Campbelltown, the Mayor of Camden, you know, those are my opportunities to, you know, speak to them about our issues and our challenges as parents with special needs, children. And, you know, it's also a topic that a lot of people shy away from because it can be sensitive. You know, there's so many different avenues you have to go down. So, you know, yeah. So all in all, I'm really grateful for the opportunities I've been given.
Congratulations on those awards.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're making an impact. It also shows you that you're making an impact in the community and it's being recognised.
Yeah.
So thank you for the work you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And, you know, before we do close up, I really would love for you to, you know, promote your next event because I think you got one coming up. The high tea.
Yes, in September.
Yeah.
So we have our annual, we call it our Spring Blooming High Tea.
Yeah.
It's a women's event, and that's on the 12th of September. So only a few months away. So we will be hosting that. We've got some great entertainment lined up and just a great space for women to come together and just be free. You know, I'm the very laid back type of person. So, you know, having that space for us just to come together and be together and share about each other and just, you know, uplift each other. So that's it. That's our, we also have our Bunnings sausage sizzle
Yeah.
on the 18th of July down in Campbelltown.
Yeah.
So just come over and visit us and grab a hot dog while you're there.
Right.
And you can purchase the tickets online, going on to online.
For the high tea,
high tea.
everything's online.
Yeah.
Everything's online. And then our annual gala tickets are not available yet. It'll be available at the September event.
Okay.
Oh, that's exciting.
So
Might see Ollie and I there.
Yeah, I came to one of them. Me and my sister came to your gala one. I wanted to ask, what's the purple, the color that you always wear?
So everyone,
People wear purple. Yeah.
everyone always asks, how did the purple come about? And so and even the name. So with the purple color, because I have been dealing with epilepsy a lot. And that was my main challenge with Caleb. Advocating for, epileptic children and all of that. It's purple. Yeah. Everything's purple. Okay. And so it kind of stuck with me, that color. Yeah. And, not having my dad around has been really hard. He's missed out a lot. And so his favorite color was purple, and it just kind of made sense to leave it as purple. So there's a couple of different reasons. And then, it's mainly because of the epilepsy and the colors around that. And so I've just kept it that color. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
So that's become our branding.
Okay.
That's awesome. And Rob, did you want to say ask another question, or
I'm good. Yeah.
like just quickly? Sorry, Maureen. Like, what advice would you give to a mother that that's just had a child and they just found out they've been diagnosed? What advice could you give to them? For them.
My advice would be, it's okay to feel all of the emotions. It's okay to feel it and not have to mask how you're feeling. It's okay to ask for support, whatever way that may be.
Yeah.
And also that just to know that you're not alone. And I wish the me then, when I had my child, had that advice.
Right.
Because I probably would have been able to pull myself out of the rut that I was feeling and the loneliness I was feeling if I had been given that advice. So those are the three things that I would truly, truly recommend.
Love that.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, Maureen, it's been amazing having you on, and I've been so inspired by your story, and I've heard little bits and pieces from Rena. So Rena is related to Maureen.
Oh, okay.
And and I was so excited. Me and Roy was so excited to have you on, and I'm so glad I got to hear your story.
Yeah.
And wow, you're inspiring. You're very inspiring. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming onto our podcast. And we can't wait to share this episode to everybody.
Yes.
And
I know people will be blessed.
Definitely.
For sure.
Do you want to say something, Rob, to Maureen before we close off?
Oh, no. Well, thank you. No, thank you for your time, and thank you for being so open and honest and sharing your journey of raising your son. And as Ollie said, we've heard the word inspiring 50 times whilst talking to you. And you are an inspiration, and especially to us, Islander women. It's just wonderful to hear the work that you're doing, and I know that your story is going to encourage many, many listeners.
Definitely. And we will come out and support your events.
Yes.
We definitely want to come out and support your events, Maureen.
Definitely.
Thank you for your time.
Much. Truly, I am so, I never take these opportunities lightly, and I'm also very, when what's the word? I'm very cautious of the spaces that we go into, and if it aligns with what we do, and I thank God for sending me you guys and you giving me this opportunity, because these opportunities don't just fall in our laps. So I'm very, very truly grateful for this opportunity, and I pray that God will bless. She's More Than Rubies. I know He's going to do wonderful things for your podcast, and it's just going to go uphill from here. So God bless you.
Thank you.
And keep inspiring. I appreciate you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maureen. God bless you.
Thank you to our listeners, and don't forget to follow and subscribe, and God bless you. Thank you. Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.